Hey there. Welcome to All Things Social Security. I'm Stephanie Joy. Whether you are a first-time viewer, an occasional viewer, a subscriber, or one of the three tiered benefactor members, I want to welcome you and let your video begin. Remember, if you haven't checked out the memberships, it might be something up your alley because it gives you an opportunity for a little more Social Security disability attorney attention if you need it, but don't have representation and don't want to do a full-fledged consultation. Okay, have a great one, guys. Stay tuned. Good morning. Okay, I was just explaining to somebody, and I thought I'd explain it to you in case it was not clear. What is a durational requirement under Social Security Disability or SSI for an impairment that is disabling for the moment to be durationally long enough to qualify? So, there was actually a court case back in the 70s, I think, that confirmed that it's not the length of time you have an impairment or even a severe impairment. It's the length of time in which that impairment or in combination with others prevents you from working substantial gainful activity, etc. So that amount of time, not the amount of time of an impairment, because we could have an impairment for 5 years before it becomes disabling, right? It can be limiting, but not necessarily disabling. So the 12 months is the amount of time that has to go by when it's either expected to keep you from being able to perform substantial gainful activity or it already has. So they do have a POMS narrative on this. So I'm going to share it to you. It's DI 25505.025. And if we go through the definition that they start out with, for all individuals under Title II and adults under Title 16, that's Title II, Social Security, Title 16, SSI. The Social Security Act defines disability as the inability to engage in any substantial gainful activity by reason of any medically determinable physical or mental impairment, which can be expected to result in death, or which has lasted or can be expected to last for a continuous period of not less than 12 months. Okay, they go on to say that the durational requirement for the claimants begins at the time that the person is continuously unable to engage in SGA because of that medically determinable impairment. So it's not when the impairment begins, it's when its severity and its limiting effects continuously um, deter them from being able to perform substantial gainful activity. And when they say continuously, we're not going to get into it now, but there is something, there are so many disorders that wax and wane. Um, but so if you have some good days here or even some couple good months, that's not necessarily going to defeat your claim because you slipped right back into a disabling, severity of the condition. So that's not always going to be a problem. So don't get worried if you're like, well, I'm bad for 8 months, but then I'm good for two, or, uh, okay. So it says, unless the impairment is expected to result in death, so let's not go there right now, to meet the 12-month duration requirement, the impairment or impairments, because remember, it can be a combination, they have to prevent the claimant from engaging in the SGA for 12 months and must have lasted or be expected to last for a continuous period of not less than 12 months. That sounds weird. Um, The durational period can begin before the date first insured in Title II cases, which is the Social Security disability, before the date of a spouse's death in a widow's claim, and prior to the filing date in SSI claims. So you don't have to, and that only makes sense. The duration period can begin. So a lot of times the duration has been met long before you even apply. But one important thing, and by the way, this doesn't apply to certain things, including statutory blindness. One of the reasons why it's not infrequent that I will be looking at a case and evaluating and thinking about strategically when would be the best time to file for this person. And it's not necessarily the day that the impairment takes them out of work or they decide that they can't continue on with the work. I know the urge is to file right away. And there's obviously reasons not to delay too long. We talk about those when we talk about DLI, date last insured, and the fact that retro does not go back forever. However, um, it is often not a bad idea to get your ducks in a row. Get you file very early, like within a week or a month of stopping work, and your medical evidence may be no different than when you're dealing with your impairment and struggling through work. And so sometimes I get the impression that because nothing has changed, the assumption is that you could still be working and you're just not. So oftentimes, and this is a generality, guys, but oftentimes uh, using the first several months to get to the doctors, get those updated diagnostics, things that are going to show that things have been getting worse instead of just, pardon me, I can feel my nose running. Um, you know, you can be making some ammunition in your case so that when you get your first review on initial, they're not looking at nothing. They're not looking at same old, same old. You could work with it then, but now suddenly you say you can't and nothing's changed. Those medical records look the same. They might even be as sporadic as they were because when we're working, we often can't go to the doctor as much as maybe we should. We put it off. It's got to work with our schedule. We don't want to get, you know, reprimanded at our job, or maybe we don't have any more personal time, or maybe we just don't want to take a day of our personal time because they're so scarce. So it is not unusual. I don't know if I'd say it's half the time, or I don't even think I could put a label on it, but it's quite a lot. Uh, and there are more unique situations where it doesn't apply. But by and large, oftentimes, I think it's better to um, start getting that ammo ready, going to those, getting those updated, the start of the updated records, the updated diagnostics. If you're putting off physical therapy because of your work schedule, now might be the time to do it. And don't necessarily file right away. You're not going to lose any back benefits by waiting, so long as you don't wait more than 17 months. And I don't even recommend going that far. I'm talking maybe 5, 6, 7 months, because by the time you're 7 months through, by the time they process your application, you are now going to be truly breathing down the neck of those 12 months. So I feel like there has been too many times when I've seen a durational denial. I think I have a video on that under denials. Um, just saying, yeah, we see you're disabled, but so even if they see you're disabled, it's only been, 4 or 5 months, and we think, you'll be better with proper treatment in less than 12 months. So you kind of just stabbed yourself by, you know, rushing to the application and rushing to their first review. And now you just wasted the initial review when you could have possibly had an initial win, perhaps. I mean, a certain amount of people do, what, 30 something percent? So just something to think about. That durational requirement is ironclad, you know. And while again, it doesn't necessarily have to have passed the 12 months, it's got to be clear from the records that it would if it does not. And that is hard to come by because it seems like medical providers never want to say that they're not going to cure you. They never seem to want to put that down in there that you're going to be as severe as you are now for at least blah, blah, blah. I mean, we might see that in a catastrophic, say, car accident where arms, legs, back are broken. You know that person's going to be healing and then rehabbing and learning to walk again. Totally different from some other areas. And in that case, it would be kind of obvious it's going to be at least a year. But by and large, it's not always so obvious. Um, if the person's going to PT, they'll use the excuse that, well, the PT is going to potentially help them and they're not going to be unable to do all jobs, all 12,000 jobs, even the ones that are much easier than their past work for 12 months. So, all right, durational. So you got the D, and if you want to look at the, you hear those birds? The Social Security ruling, which is from 1973, it's SSR 73-7C. And that's when I believe they embraced a court ruling to become a new SSR. And the court had, evaluated, wait, does the impairment, because here the claimant had, I guess, appealed saying that his impairment was there for 12 months. It doesn't have to be that he was so severe in it that he couldn't work for the whole 12 months. But he was wrong, and the court set him straight, and then it became a better defined definition, I suppose, under the Social Security rulings. So duration, guys, it's got to be how long you couldn't work, how long it was so severe that you were unable to engage in SGA, not just that you had the diagnosis or the impairment, and even that it was a severe impairment, because remember, a lot of severe impairments, maybe even most, are not disabling. They're just severe. They limit us, but they don't limit us from everything, which is what we have to prove when we're proving disability under the Social Security rules, by and large. All right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.